So whenever you're ready, Ash. Okay, welcome to the team call. Today is December 8th, and I'm really excited about this call tonight. I know we're kind of wrapping up the year, but in my opinion, December is a super important month because it really sets the tone for what is to come in January. And January is not going to be a big month for you if you don't put some seeds in place in December and kind of lay the foundation for where things will go for you in January. And I also think, and this isn't a part of my slideshow, but I also think this is a really important month to start thinking about your goals for 2017. And I would encourage you to reach out to your upline coach, whether that's me or Ashley or Casey or Natalie or whoever else, Danielle, that's on the team that has coaches that are working under them, because I think it's important to have a chat with your upline sponsor about, you know, how you're going to achieve some of those goals, and maybe not year-end goals. I'm reading the book called The 12-Week Year right now. Has anyone read that? It's so good. So good. Ashley, you got it for me.
Who's the author?
I can't remember, and it's downstairs, otherwise I would grab it.
What's the title again?
The 12-Week Year.
I haven't read it yet, but I did. It was a Success Club incentive. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
I love it. It totally makes sense, because sometimes I think we think in year increments, like here's my goal for December, and so like in January when we don't hit our goal, all of a sudden we feel really let down, and you don't have that same momentum. And so the author encourages you to think in 12-week increments instead. And so all of your goals, in his opinion, should be 12-week goals. And so every week, mind. You're unmuted. Oh, Naz, do you mind muting yourself?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Okay, but let's move on. This is another topic that I think will help not only with goal setting, but just kind of driving your business forward, and probably the number one question that coaches ask me, and that's how to recruit a working coach. I think if we all had those answers, we would all be millionaires, right? It's hard, and there aren't like secrets to it, but I'm going to share what's worked for me. I've been really blessed to have a lot of working coaches on my team, a lot of you on this call, and so I'm just going to share kind of what I've been doing and what's worked. So let me share my screen. Okay. How do I move past this? Move this little bar up here. Okay, there we go. Why is it not working? Here we go. Okay. So the secret to recruiting new coaches. What's happening? Oh, I think I went too fast now. All right. Okay. I want you to, in your mind, change the word recruiting to sponsoring, because I think that is one of the most important changes in your mind. We're not like corporate America, where we're, you know, recruiting people and they're working under us, and, you know, they're doing the things that we tell them to do, and we're their boss. It really shouldn't be like that. It should be a partnership, and I love the word sponsoring because it feels more relational, and I think that's what this business is all about. But the first thing that I think is super duper important for you to do is you should constantly be sharing how the coaching opportunity has changed and is changing your life. And I think that's so important, and I love looking at all these pictures on here of things that I've been able to do in the past 17 months, places I've been able to visit. I've been on 3 trips, and I have 3 more scheduled in the next 6 months. I've met people. I have a group of women that I would call some of my best friends. I have a support system like none other. I have the tools to make healthy choices and be able to teach other people to do that. I have been able to help other people lose weight. I have been able to help people pay for things that they never were able to do before because they've made money in this business. I've been able to have financial freedom. I think everything it all comes down to really about sharing this opportunity with others. And I think that sometimes people get scared to do this on social media. It's easy to share your workout, and maybe it's easy to share the physical part of how it's changing your life, but you've got to share other ways that it's changed your life too, because for some people, honestly, they don't need a big physical transformation. And I hate to call you out, Natalie, and I can't even see you on here, but Natalie is a perfect example. She is somebody that didn't need the physical transformation. Natalie is beautifully thin and lucky. And so if I only posted about how Beachbody was helping me, lose weight, a coach like Natalie probably would have never connected with me, because that's just not what she needed to do. But what she connected with was the fact that I'm a mom. I have 4 kids, so does she. We lead, lives where it feels like it's not about us. It's about whatever our kids need. And you sort of feel like you're lost in that a little bit. And, I think that her and I connected on that piece because for me, that's a lot of why I'm doing this business too. So you need to think about all the aspects. Who are the people that you're trying to reach out to, and what can you share about that they could connect with? And that's not necessarily just weight loss. So stop recruiting and start sponsoring. Change your language. Change your language in the way that you're talking on Facebook too. Recruiting to me sounds like boss and superior. Sponsoring sounds like mentor, friend, and coach. Remember, especially in this business, that you will not be successful unless other people are successful. And that's why it's called Team Beachbody, because so much of what we do depends on the success of our team. And it's important to share that in the language of your posts too. When you're posting about things, like even with your team, instead of saying my team, you could use the words our team, or we had the opportunity to do this instead of I had the opportunity, because it makes people feel like they can join when there's a we and an S rather than an I and a me. And another important thing, I think, is to be enthusiastic. How can you expect others to be enthusiastic about the business if you're not? And this can really come across in your posts. I try to use enthusiasm in my language, and I don't want to say that I want you to be fake at all. And if you're not naturally a super enthusiastic person, then I'm not asking you to just like all of a sudden become really enthusiastic, but be excited about what you're doing. Be excited about the coaching opportunity. Be excited about your workouts and drinking Shakeology. And the language that you use in your posts is going to come across to your readers. And I think it's important to be enthusiastic on the team page, and positivity is contagious. Don't give people all the facts in your posts. Like they don't, this is like, I think one of the most important things. And when I first started coaching, sometimes I would give way too much information, like even about Shakeology, for example. Be vague, because when you're vague, and I don't mean secretive, but be vague, and don't share every detail, because you want people to ask questions and you want to spark a little bit of curiosity. When people ask you, like in a private message specifically, use conversation clues to know which facts to tell, but don't just word vomit on them. So if they say, hey, can you tell me a little bit about what being a coach is all about? Instead of like, blah, 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 and la la la, and it's going to cost you this, and then you're going to have to do this, and you're going to have this tax form, and then you're going to have to keep 50 PV, and I'd be like, whoa, that was way too much. So what I try to do is just say something like, hey, I could tell you how much I love this business and how awesome being a coach is. Do you mind if we hop on a phone call? So get them right on the phone, and then you're not giving them too much information. Really let them lead the conversation with, and I try to say stuff like, hey, I'm happy to tell you about what I do, but let's start with some of the questions that you have. And then end every single conversation with a question, especially through private message, because when you end with a question, it's going to elicit a better response. They're probably going to be less likely to leave you hanging than if you just say something like, well, let me know if you're interested. I like to end things with, how does that sound? Are you ready to sign up? Can I put you in my next challenge group? I'm saving you a spot. How does that sound? Those are all things that I'll do. Okay, here's just an example of an enthusiastic post. I was just trying to go through and it's dumb, but so what you notice about the post is the lighting is good. I have a smile on my face. If you look through you don't have to read all of it, but you notice some of my words are capitalized, and I use exclamation points. I break things into paragraphs where it's easy to see. Hopefully this would be scroll stopping. If somebody saw this in their newsfeed, they would stop because they see a bold picture. This would be this wasn't a coach opportunity post, I don't think. No, it wasn't. But it would be a good visual for a coach opportunity post. Where you could relate to moms. You can even put your kids in the picture too. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because we're relatable. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm going to tell you something. I fully believe in reality, and I could put my camera around my bedroom right now. It's not clean and all that. But when you're taking a picture that you're going to post on social media, make sure that you just sort of pick up the area around it. It drives me crazy when I see pictures, and it's not any of you guys, but like there's dirty socks hanging off the couch or all that. Like, we also want to look professional when we're advertising for joining our team. So I think it's important to have just a clean slate, find somewhere with really good lighting where you're not like super dark, or use an editing, technique where you can lighten everything up. I like this room in my house because it's really simple and plain. It doesn't have too much going on in the background. Okay, how are we going to attract the people that we want on our team? I love the saying, your vibe attracts your tribe. I laugh when I think about the people that are on my team, because so many of us have tons of kids. I think that people, it's unreal how many of us have like 3 or 4 kids. Not that there's anything wrong with having 1 or 2, but I think I personally attract people with a lot of kids because I post about my kids a lot. And so people say, oh, she can do it. She has a lot of kids. I can do it too. Think about the things that you want in an ideal coach, and maybe even write it down. This would be a great call to action, would be to sit down sometime and write out the characteristics of people that you would want on your team. And I'll just give you some examples. I want somebody that is outgoing, that I could sit down and have a conversation with, and that I would, like as a friend. I want somebody that I can relate with, maybe even is funny. I want somebody who is hardworking. I want someone who's really loyal. I want somebody who follows through with what they say and is a good listener. And then think about target words that you might use in your posts where you're advertising, or when you are just reaching out to people via private message. And think about target words that you would use that might relate to those characteristics. So it really could be anything, and you could match up different words with different characteristics and then kind of mix and match throughout your posts. And then somebody said this to me a long time ago, and I try to do this in any coach opportunity post that I do. And then, when I'm doing a post, like a sweaty selfie or whatever, but it says post specifically to that person every day. So you've got your list of characteristics in a person. I want you to craft your post so that you're talking to that person. And so for me, I'd be talking to probably a mom who had a lot going on in her life, maybe who, felt like a little bit lost in her life and her world, who wasn't taking enough time for herself, who maybe had big dreams but kind of felt stuck financially. Those would all be things that I would be talking to because I relate to that. And then another thing that you can do is sprinkle coaching into your daily posts. And so even a post that might not have anything to do with coaching, like watching, let's just say I was working a night job, okay? I could take a picture of my kids in the backyard in the snow and say something like, there's nothing better than being able to experience snow with kids. It's so magical. I'm so thankful for the opportunity to be able to be home. For so many years, I was working nights and I would have missed out on this, or I would have missed out on putting my kids to bed. Or it could be something like you and your daughter at Starbucks, and just, before coaching, I would have never been able to spend the extra money on coffee. We pinched every penny, and now here I am, and it might be silly. It's a $3 hot chocolate, but it's something that I would have never done prior to coaching because I would have felt really tight with my money. And so little things like that don't really seem like a coaching post, you're going to get people that are like, oh my gosh, I can totally relate to that. And so think about that in your posting. Okay, so you can't just talk about it. You have to post about it. If you want to attract people interested in the business, you have to post about the business. People aren't going to just flock to you. It doesn't work that way. I was listening to Danielle Natoni's Best of the Best in the West. If you guys don't listen to those, they're the best. Like, I almost think they're better than the National Wake Up Call. If you go to YouTube and you Google Doug, or not Google, just on YouTube search Doug Moss. He's the guy that runs the calls. You can go back and watch all of them, but basically they're calls that are run just for the Western region with all the top coaches, and they're a Zoom call, and he records all of them. And I watch all of them, but I was watching Danielle Natoni's, and she said for years she had to reach out to people, talk to people about the coaching opportunity, but she's at a point in her business now where people literally flock to her. So she said she hasn't even sent out a private message like in so long, unless it's a response to somebody. So it takes a while to get there. So you actually do have to do some work in the beginning. And so you've got to post about the business. You have to, you know, and it depends. Like, I do a lot more on my like page than my personal page. And I've shared before that I have to tread very lightly on my personal page because I'm a teacher. And I have a ton of people in my network who are in the world of teaching with me. And I have to be really careful that it doesn't sound like I'm trying to leave my teaching job. And so I'm on a very fine line. And so I'm not necessarily the best person for you to watch as far as these posts are. I do them on my like page, but a lot of people, I only have like 500 friends on my like page. And so if you want to see, Ashley does a better job of this, and some of the other coaches who really do this as a business do this a much better job than me. But you should do a business post at least a couple times a week. You can make them creative and different. And again, if you're running out of ideas, make a list of things that attracted you to the business. So maybe friendship, money, the ability to travel, the ability to pay for things that you weren't able to pay for before, the ability to feel like you finally have a role in life, and whatever those might be. You can post about those. This one I love is make a list of common objections and post about those. So maybe an objection is people feel like it costs too much money to start as a coach. So then you could talk about like, oh my gosh, have you ever thought about joining my team? You know, it's if you buy a fitness program to get started with, it's actually free to sign up as a coach. So all those people in their minds who are like, I just can't because we don't have the money, you know, it probably costs a ton of money as a startup. You've addressed their concern before they even ask. So that's one thing out of the way. I love posting about objections. I use my best posts about objections are about Shakeology because there's so many people that are skeptical. So I love throwing the objections out there, and then they don't have anything to say about it. And then at the end, make sure people know, and this is always, that you always have an opportunity for them to join your team. So they don't have to wait to have you make a post about it. Like, it should be obvious in your post that they can always reach out to you about joining. Okay, here are just a couple examples because I like to see visuals of what coaching opportunities can look like. I pulled one from Melanie Mitro because if you guys don't know Melanie, she's the #1 coach in the network. I liked that she had a picture of herself, and she also has a picture of herself with her 2 boys. Actually, Casey, shout out to Casey, made my graphics, so I can't even take credit for that. But those are for sneak peeks. You could even take out the sneak peek part and put, will you join our team, and then have, you know, something else written in there. And then instead of from the event you will learn, it could be like, as a coach I have, and then put bullet points about, you know, all the cool things that you've been able to do as a coach. In the little black circle thing, you, instead of where it says Tuesday 1/5, you could put now accepting applications. You could put a link to your WooFoo form on there. I actually believe when I put this form out, I'm almost positive that's when Melanie Helly became a coach, was from the sneak peek that I did last January. So Or maybe not. No, she joined earlier. I don't even know. But maybe I ran this one twice. So here's just a couple examples of things you can do. If you need help with graphics, I would highly recommend PicMonkey, P-I-C, and then the word monkey. It's free. I pay the upgrade. I think it's $30 a year to get more. It's because you get cooler things with it, but you can totally use it. I used it free for a long time. And watch tutorials on it. You can Google tutorials, and there's a ton. There's a good tutorial in our training, in our 30-day training. But like if you want a little bit more advanced techniques, like how to cut out around a picture, those are all on Google. Okay, so I just gave you a ton of information, and I wanted to give you a few minutes to ask questions. So what questions do you have about recruiting, or what tips do you have? And you can ask anyone on our team. It doesn't have to be me. I'm not necessarily the world's best. No questions? Ashley, is there anything you feel like I didn't cover as far as recruiting goes, sponsoring?
No, it was really good. And what I think I would reiterate is that I know when you're doing like a business opportunity post to recruit or sponsor, which I have to say, I love that you said sponsor instead of recruit. I love that. When you're doing those posts, I know you will think to yourself, I feel like I just posted this last week, or I've said this before, I've said it before, I can't post it again. I think you have to remember that people are watching. And not everybody's going to be seeing your posts all the time. And you might annoy some people, but those aren't your people. But there are people out there who are curious, and they're watching, and you're planting that seed of, is this for me, over and over again. So don't be afraid to post them. I mean, change them up. I'm not saying make the exact same post, but change it up and do have a business opportunity post, a couple times a week. I know a lot of people traditionally like to do them on, Sunday nights or whenever it works good for you, but really you just have to find there's no cut and dry, like you have to do it this day or that day. Experiment with which days you might get good feedback. And I think another tip would be for doing a good post. I like to, when I'm going to have a really good business opportunity post, like if I'm going to do that in the evening, earlier in the day, I will post some random thing to maybe get somebody's opinion, or do a post where I know I'll get a lot of traction. Because then when I post my business opportunity post, the Facebook algorithm is in my favor because I had a post earlier that day that had really, really high traction. So all those people who are commenting, and it can be as simple as, what outfit should I wear? It amazes me how much people want to give their opinions on stuff that does not matter at all in life, but they do. And so those are just a few tips and tricks that I use for business opportunity posts. But Kelly's right, address the objections, because you should use your Facebook page as your own personal sneak peek into coaching all the time. And like she said, it can be as simple as, I'm at Starbucks with my kids. I wouldn't have done this before. And you could it doesn't have to be a big long post. It doesn't even have to have a call to action always. It's just sprinkling it in. But on those big posts, make sure you have a call to action. And one more tip, I know some people, I don't even remember where I heard this. I think it was at Platinum Edge. Sometimes you say, comment below or message me for more information. Well, some people are intimidated to comment below because they don't want somebody to see that you're the other people who's interested. But sometimes they don't know what to message you, so they don't message because they don't want to be like, I'm interested or whatever. So sometimes in your post you could say, comment below or message me, I would like to know more. Give them some little phrase to message you, so they don't have to type up this big thing and they're awkwardly coming to you like, I don't know what to say really that I'm interested in. Like, give them a key phrase or like something silly that they could just message you that one word or two words, and then you know that they were interested. Does that make sense? Was that a Platinum?
Yeah, we learned that there. And the other thing too is that just know off the bat that you're going to get very few likes. Like, I'm not even kidding. Sometimes you will get like 1 or 2 likes, and don't take it personally, because people are afraid to click like because they think that somehow by clicking like, they're going to be like committing to your business, which is ridiculous. And so they see it still, but they won't click like on it. So, and you can go to like Melanie Mitcher, who has like 60,000 Facebook followers, and she'll get like 20 likes on a coach opportunity post, because they're just not popular for people to click like on. So don't be discouraged by that. Just know that going into it, when you post those things, like those big long ones where you're really like trying to get some traction. But that's why I really like to put a link to my WooFoo form. And if you forget how to do that, go back to the 30-day training, because there's actually a training on how to create one. But if you have I just have it saved. It's just a generic coach application that I created. If you have that connected to it, then people don't even have to click like. They don't have to email you, nothing. That's what Melanie actually did. And I don't know if she'll watch the playback on this, but she just filled out a form, and then I got an email saying, Melanie Helly's applied to be a coach on your team. And so it's like incognito. Nobody has to know, because some people don't want people to know that this is something they're thinking about. And so instead of making them message or write or anything, they can just click directly on their form and it'll go to you.
And I'm going to say your form doesn't have to be super elaborate with a bunch of detail. It can be just like, I'd like to learn more, super simple name, which is the best way to contact them, something like that. It doesn't have to be, do you want to be a top 10 coach? Where are you at? Blah, blah, blah. Because that's overwhelming. I think the less questions on something like that, the better, because you don't want to overwhelm people with information, because then they're like, oh, it's too much for me. I'm out.
Yeah. Although, Danielle Natoni was saying on her forms, she asks what fitness program they are interested in, and then what Shakeology flavor they want to drink. And she said she puts it on all of her forms because it gets them immediately thinking like, I'm going to be doing these programs. I'm going to be drinking these shakes. And if that's not something they're interested in, then she said, then they're probably not going to be able to be a good coach. And I thought that was interesting, because I don't have that on my form right now.
Yeah, I think she's so big and has such a name. I don't know if that's quite the same for us, but it could be something to try.
Yeah. Do you guys have any other questions or are things that you're struggling with in recruiting, sponsoring?
I just wanted to bring up the point, like a lot of new coaches, they don't have like a story necessarily to tell about their coaching business, because they don't have coaches under them, or they don't have like the financial, success that some of the other coaches have had. So when I first started, I liked always to do coaching accountability posts. So just think of what coaching has done for you, and maybe it's not financial right now, but maybe it's just the accountability piece. Maybe it's just being surrounded by positive people who, and the fact that you are helping other people. It doesn't have to be financial. So don't think that you have to post, like I make X amount of money and this is giving me financial freedom, I paid off my bills. Don't think it has to be that quite yet. But I think just really think about what it's done for you. Like for me, it really is. It is accountability. It's helping people. So things like that will definitely attract people too, or at least get them interested. It doesn't have to be about money.
Yeah, and if you want to do a financial, one, don't feel like if you're only making, $90 or $100 a month right now after paying your Shakeology, that it's not important, because to you that might not be important, but to somebody that might make the difference between them being able to stay home with their kids or not. Maybe it pays their cell phone bill every month, or maybe it pays for their daughter to be able to take ballet. Whatever it might be, don't underestimate the value of what you have made or, have been able to do, and share little pieces of that. Casey, one of my favorite things that you did, I think it was last Christmas, or no, school supplies. You shared that you were able to pay for all of your kids' school supplies with your weekly Beachbody check. And I thought that was so cool, because I know in August I'm always stressed out with 4 kids starting school and having to get school supplies and backpacks and everything. It's like, oh my gosh, I need to take out a second mortgage for all of this. But with Beachbody, I don't have to worry about any of that, because my extra money, can pay that. So simple little things. Don't feel like because you're not making thousands of dollars a month, you can't share about your little successes. And
to add on to that, I think it's also okay occasionally, not always, but occasionally, can share the story and success of somebody who you know in your team. I'm not saying share Melanie Mitro's success because you don't know her, but if you have an upline coach or somebody, you know, a success partner or somebody else that you've connected to in the team, you can edify them and share their story to show your audience that, hey, this is legitimate. This is what's happening. I mean, I'm not saying do it all the time because you really want to showcase you, but there is a way where you can share somebody else's story in a way where it can show that this business has success too.
Mm-hmm. Well, and one of our upline coaches, not that she's super involved with us, but Tara was a top 10 coach in the company. So we have a legitimate downline. You know, a lot of people don't have like anybody that's, you know, has like, I hate to say is like famous in the Beachbody world, but we really do have somebody that's kind of made it big. And so, you know, sharing that so people know we legitimately have a downline, whether they need to know that they're super involved or not. And like Ashley was a premier coach last year, so that's something great to share. So little things like that. Is there anything else you guys had questions or concerns about? Okay, I think we're gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna get my kids in from the snow. I hope you guys all have a good night. Have fun on your trip tomorrow, Natalie. Safe travels. And we'll talk to you guys next week.